This week, I want to talk about why do we keep accepting certain truth, even if we don't like it? Why do we keep accepting it as truth, as if to say we can't do anything about it? I will give you examples of what I mean, but here are the paradoxes that I'm noticing, especially as I'm going through this journey myself. The paradox is this, is that we say, I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of going for that bold, big dream, whatever that bold, big dream for you is. I'm afraid of going for that vision. I'm afraid of going for doing the thing that I actually love and meaningful. And we accept that baseline to be the truth. And once we accept it, then we then sign up to going through all the struggles of that accepted truth. While we have all the opportunities to explore our capacity, capability of what we're actually capable of, because we never know what we're capable of achieving and creating in this life, right? Until we actually go and try. But we accept that as not truth. We accept that that's not possible, or that's not doable, or that's not who we are. And we just keep living our lives in the acceptance of how we're not capable. Right? So the paradox that I find it so fascinating is that we have come to a conclusion based on even no data, based on whatever the past that we have done, because we have no data as to how capable we are actually to create the reality that we want, because we haven't done it yet. So there is no data, right? So therefore, we just accept the truth of whatever we have decided, or whatever we have concluded as this is the truth that I'm going with. And that truth usually that we accept is, I'm afraid, and this is a failure, and that's failure, and this is going to be a failure. So why bother? Da, 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 da. And then we accept that truth, and then based on the premise of that truth, that we make it as a baseline, and then we keep going and living our lives while we have the whole territory of new land of opportunities and realities that we could be creating and exploring our capabilities. But we have accepted that as not truth. And therefore, we don't even go and commit to finding out, right? So there are several examples that I thought through in my head, and I was thinking which one to choose because there's so many and so often that this happens. Um, and before I actually give you the examples, let me share with you quotes from Dr. House, the TV series that I was watching yesterday with my husband. And this is from the season 6, where he is talking to a psychiatrist, right? And the psychiatrist, let me pull up the psychiatrist's name is Dr. Nolan. So Dr. House is talking to Dr. Nolan, and they're talking about success versus failure. So here is the quote that I thought is very interesting for us to really uh, look at. So Dr. Nolan says, why do you value your failures more than your successes? Right? And Dr. House says, my mother gave me a book on etiquette when I was a kid. You look at it, there are 10 things to do, but there are 100 of things not to do. And he's obviously deflecting, right? And Dr. Nolan says, when you deflect, it's more effective when you're not transparent. And that's really what our brain does. Our brain, when confronted we really want to deflect and keep going back to the truth that we accept as true, right? So then Dr. House says success successes only last until someone screws them up. Failures are forever. And Dr. Nolan says, so you accept that fact, right? That's the thing is that whatever we accept something as a fact, as a truth, then everything that we do afterwards become the derive from that truth, right? From that truth of, so if your truth in life is you are always someone who's afraid of failure, then obviously you will never even allow yourself to go for your biggest and daring dreams. And this is exactly the conversation, the battle that I think many of us have. And then, so Dr. Nolan says, so you accept that fact, you accept that everything is failure in the end, yet you refuse to accept its value, right? And then Dr. House says successes are ephemeral, meaning fleeing, right? Passing, very temporary. Failure is the baseline, it's a standard against which we judge everything else. So I will not go into the details of the conversation, but what this conversation really struck me to think about how we have at some point in our lives have come to a conclusion based on maybe one or two events in our lives, and we have then accepted, that's how life functions. This is the facts of life, and everything else, then we keep making decisions on based on those facts, which are in quotes, right? Because they're not facts, but we have somehow concluded that is how life functions, and therefore we stopped allowing ourselves to accept new truth in our lives. And I would say the examples that I want to give you from my clients who also are doing this is that they, uh, one in particular, we were discussing yesterday. I was coaching her, and then she was telling me that she's so afraid of failure that she's now wanting to change her clients from humanitarians. She was working with humanitarians as clients, and now she wants to change to other specific type of business people. And as we explored the reasoning behind, she says that she's so afraid that other humanitarians are judging her, right? So her brain then accepted this fear of judgment as truth, as the only truth, maybe. And in order to avoid facing that truth, her brain is now offering to change things and go to another field. Now, there is no problem changing and exploring and experimenting in life, and especially if you're an entrepreneurial journey, except that if you keep doing that, if you keep allowing your brain to take that fear of judgment as the only truth, then your brain will come up with very sophisticated stories as to how now going and working with those people is a dangerous thing. And whatever it is dangerous for your brain, that becomes the truth, even though we don't know what actually people are thinking. We don't know what people are judging. And even if people are judging, whose judgments do we actually want to base our decision on, right? So of all the people who are listening to her, let's say, I don't know, 100 people, and of the 100 people listening to her, let's say 60, 70 of them are judging her badly. Let's say that's the case. And we're speculating at this point, right? There is no truth in it. We're just speculating. Now, let's even say that of the 70 people judging, but the 30 people who are really wanting to listen to her and hear what she has to say and all of these things. But because of her truths that she has accepted, so to say, as truths and said, okay, these people are all judging me. If I were them, I would be judging me as well, right? Therefore, let me just go and do something else. Then she's just accepting her judgment or her speculations of their judgment as the truth as to how not to grow in the field that she actually wants to grow. And this happens all of the time especially in the millionaire dollar impact journey, that we will come up with millions of reasons why whatever our assumptions, whatever our expectations of what other people might be thinking about us as the accepted truth, and we just want to play along with it. Right? We just want to go along with it because that feels safer and it's great for our self-preservation. It's great for our evolution. It's great for our energy-saving brain who just feels like, oh, therefore I don't need to be uncomfortable and facing that truth that I'm believing is truth actually then turns out is actually not the truth, but then that feels very uncomfortable. So let me not go there. Therefore, let me just keep struggling here on the premise that I have at some point decided is my accepted truth. And another client I was coaching the other day, I think Wednesday, and I was also talking about this in my email list, where he kept feeling like HQ is not the place. This is not where I have my meaningful work. I can only have meaningful work in the field when I'm with people who are going through all these difficulties, and me being there is what will give me meaning, right? And then we got him to the field, and then in the field, I was just coaching him the other day, so Wednesday, and he was telling me that, oh my God, I still feel so disconnected from the people. I'm in the field, but this is not what I want to be doing. The meaning that I thought I would have is not there, right? So, what his brain then is doing is accepting the truth of there needs to be some meaning without really knowing what that meaning is. And we keep searching for it in places where we believe it should be there. And once we are there, then realizing if it's not there, then we're realizing, oh my God, the truth of so essentially what his brain was saying in this HQ, I'm accepting there's no meaning, right? In the field, I'm accepting there's no meaning. Now I still keep feeling this disconnection and I'm not really working on the thing that I want to. And then we were discussing, okay, what would actually give him meaning? And he was saying that working on building something from scratch, an NGO, and working on root causes. And as soon as we said, okay, let's go for building that NGO and doing it, then his brain immediately goes into, oh, but I don't think I can do that. Right. And then again, but we don't know if you can do that or not until we actually go and actually do that. But his brain is so quick in accepting or not even accepting, protecting himself from the unknown of exploring and finding out what he's capable of and how he's capable of building that NGO. His brain is immediately quick in making assumptions and making them true, right? Accepting them immediately as truth, those assumptions, even though those are assumptions based on speculation and based on nothing. But accepting them as truth and then saying, obviously, I can't uh, like make the NGO thing work. So therefore, let me keep staying in the disconnected place that I actually don't want to be in. And I can't go back to HQ because I don't see the meaning there. I can't be here because I don't see the meaning here. So therefore, I'm just torn between where to go and what to do and spend the next however many years feeling torn, right? And this is something that I have gone through so many times. And I feel like most of humanitarians who are going through life are exact same example. That we are making whatever our several experiences as the baseline for how life is going to work. And that baseline usually says something: you can't get everything in life. You have to suffer to get to what you want. You have to prove and I don't know, like die for it to get the success you want. And God forbid, if you also are successful personally, you should only be successful either professionally or personally, right? These are the baseline that people keep holding on to and saying, therefore, this is my accepted truth. And now anything else that doesn't belong into that accepted truth um, means it's not true. It simply means it's not even acceptable somehow, right? And I have realized my journey of the $1 million impact has been the same, is that I have somehow accepted that me not having the $1 million impact is the truth, and it can only, excuse me, it can only stay as truth that way. There can't be any other truth. And therefore, I kept struggling and battling inside that reality until I realized, wait, but that's not the reality that I want to keep recreating. That's not the truth I want to keep experiencing. Whatever that baseline of that truth is, I don't want that. I don't want the baseline of survival. I don't want the baseline of, I don't know, dying for it and rescuing people who don't want to be rescued and all of those things, or working on things that are ad hoc and working on things that are like bureaucratically so challenging that it just doesn't make sense. I don't want that to be my truth. I'm not denying that it might be truth for other people, but that's not my life's truth. So therefore, the truth that I want to experience and figure out and explore is where I'm the one making $1 million impact. That's the truth that I want to accept. And that's the truth that I want to believe in and create, whatever it takes. Right? You see how I have switched my accepted truth from first questioning whether my accepted truth are actually based on um, some solid reasoning, or it's just my brain's intricate way to convince me and keep convincing me how this is life is and how this is the truth based on its self-preservation motives. And then once I started questioning, I start realizing, okay, why my baseline of life needs to be that way? Why am I accepting that to be true? Even if it was true in the beginning or in at some point, why do I keep still accepting that to be the truth of my life? Right? And if I don't, then what is the other truth I want to invite in my life, even if maybe it's not true currently? But it doesn't mean that I cannot figure out and explore how that can look like. And I have all this uncharted territory of my life to find out how that is, then why wouldn't I go and find out how that is and create new truth, new facts that I actually want to be the truth of my reality? And that's really the work that I'm inviting humanitarians to do with me is when we have never questioned our baseline of life or how we see life to be working or how we see um, what we can experience in this life. And if our baseline is always like Dr. House was saying, never-ending failure and ephemeral successes, then it's a very depressing life, right? And again, as I was talking about their conversation, where um, the again the baseline or the what is it? the assumption behind Dr. House's conclusion in life was if I don't see failures all over the place, I will stop fixing them or I will stop improving them, and therefore I will just stop wanting to live kind of a energy, right? And I feel a lot of people's improvement, self-improvement ideas come from this. If I'm not self-improving and if I'm not criticizing myself all the time, then I'm not going to get better. Except that if we really look at, is the criticism really helping you to actually get better, or you're just constantly under pressure and stress that you are not able to even enjoy the process of doing it, right? And if I see this in my own life, I have realized that just because I have accepted new truth in my life, where I am the person who creates this level of impact in my own life and in my family's life and in other people's lives, does not mean that I stop improving or I stop growing or anything. It's the quite the opposite. So then I was questioning, why do we assume the baseline of everything as a failure or suffering or struggling to get somewhere? Why can't the baseline of whatever we accept to be true is we are the most capable human beings who are literally able to influence their lives day to day and long term. And if we accept that to be the baseline, if we accept that we are maybe capable of making more than $1 million impact or maybe billions, who knows? Why aren't we assuming and accepting that to be the truth to begin with? And if we did assume and accept that to be true, then imagine how we would live our lives and what decisions we would make. And most importantly, what new truth that we would create in our lives. So that's the work that I'm doing with myself as I go through and share with you um, how my humanitarian millionaires journey going. And as I have sold out my mastermind, as I have had a lot of traction from people about my boldest daring dream coming into reality as we speak. I really want people to be questioning whatever they have accepted their truth to be in life. And even if they don't like it, what do they want to do with it? Because one thing is recognizing that that's what we're doing. And I think a lot of people are very self-reflective, so they understand. Another thing is then deciding, is that something we like or not? And if we don't, then how do we change that baseline or that accepted truth in our lives? And most importantly, how do we make new assumptions and new truths, or how do we accept new truth into our lives so that we can now make different decisions, different actions, and different results based on the energy of we are maybe more capable than we allowed ourselves to feel, and simply because our evolutionary brain just wanted us to keep just surviving. And then we realized, oh, if we don't just survive and do many other things, then what else can we do? Okay, my dears, I have just opened up 2 slots for my mastermind until 31st of August, until I have time. If you would like to join, you know how to find me. There is the link for consult. Until then, have a beautiful week.